Welcome back to ZANTASTIC. Today I have an incredible guest, Philip Hunt, and this almost felt in some spaces like a coaching session because he asked me some questions in order to illustrate something important. There were two questions he asked me about what my perfect life and what my worst life would look like. And those two questions, the answers to them, really helped me understand what exactly I want and where my joy actually comes from. And in those two questions, I hope that you pause the video or the audio if you're listening, but just pause and think about your own answers to those questions before you hear mine. So when you get to those questions, just like really ponder them because I think there's incredible power. This is an amazing discussion about real wealth, real security, real prosperity, and where it all comes from and how that gets manifest in your life. Philip has both a biblical perspective as well as a scientific understanding of how it all works. And he explained things in ways that help me really understand not just enjoyment of life and real prosperity, but money itself and debt. I asked him a question about debt towards the end, and that was a fabulous discussion as well and really helped me understand a lot about money, what money really is. Enjoy the conversation. I know you're going to get a lot from it because I know I did as well. Philip, how are you doing?
Wonderful. Happy New Year. How are you,
Ha-
Kathy?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to talk to you. I've been looking at some of your content and yeah, all it ticks all my boxes. I'm interested. So, for our audience, why don't you just give an overview of who you are and what you do?
My name's Philip Hunt. I'm a manifestation consultant. I'm sure we'll get into our story, but I help leaders and entrepreneurs and visionaries basically cut down the work necessary and the timeline to accelerate results with miraculous manifestations. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot that goes into it, both on the spiritual and the I like getting into the physics of it because it really is a pragmatic physics process. But it's a wonderful journey that you get on and seeing miracles unfold in your life when you have a path that you think you're going to go on, and then you just see all these synchronicities and miracles unfold, and it makes life a lot of fun. So that's what I love doing for my clients.
Yeah, a lot more fun for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, even people just getting started. Their business ends up being a lot of times a reflection of them and what they have got going on inside of them. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Your business is your baby. So when you have a child, your child looks like you. They take on certain traits and personalities, and it's the same thing. Your manifestation is going to take on the personality of who you are. The energy you put into that manifestation, your very DNA is infused into your business, into everything you do. So it's really important, and we can get into this. It's really important to do the inner work and know who you are and work through your soul issues, because that's going to flow into every aspect of your life. That's going to flow into your manifestation, into your business, into your relationships and family. So it's all an internal thing that then expresses outwardly.
Yeah, but entrepreneurs don't necessarily go into business to learn all of this stuff. They go into
No.
business because there's clients and I have a service or a product and they fit all of those pieces together. When do they start realizing that they need something more?
It depends on the person. Some people need to hit their rock bottom. They need to burn out. They need to realize, oh, this isn't working and I need a new way. Some people are very efficient minded and they're just always looking to optimize, and they always want that next level of the cutting edge advantage. Some people are more naturally spiritual, and they're just kind of on the spiritual path, and they know there's a better way. They don't know what it is exactly, but they're seekers. They're looking for that better way. So it really depends on the person, their background, their makeup, and who you're connected with is a huge deal. Who you surround yourself with is going to influence you tremendously. And so if you're around people who are constantly, helping you to go higher, and who are spiritually minded and who do encourage you to get that cutting edge advantage, you're gonna move along that path. If people are trying to pull you down, a lot of people will get sucked down by that. Some people will rise above that, and that'll fuel them to go higher. So it really depends on the constitution and the makeup of the individual.
Yeah. Now, when entrepreneurs start hiring people into their organization, it changes sort of the energy of the entire gestalt of an organization. What do you see happening there?
Yeah. So again, it all comes from our heart flow. So I come from a biblical background. I love the wisdom in the Bible, and one of my favorite verses says, "Guard your heart with all diligence, for from your heart flow the issues of life."
Hmm.
So every decision you make, every person you attract into your life, every person you hire is gonna come from that heart flow, and they're gonna align with, or they're gonna rub you the wrong way if you have that internal conflict within you. So a lot of people run into the same patterns of, the same difficult employees or the same difficult coworkers or whatnot. And it's just over and over. It doesn't matter what I do, I just keep running into the same type of issue. And that's not the people. That's what's going on in here that's flowing outwardly. So it's important to deal with what's in here, because that's going to directly express externally.
For sure. Yeah. As you start changing the inner, the external can shift dramatically.
Yeah. So bringing a new person into your organization, like you said, can dramatically shift the energy. And it's really important to know how that person vibes with you, and really kind of sit with that for a while and process through the emotions and pray about it, and process that internally before you make that step externally.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Organizations, though, they do take on. I talked to a management consultant once, and he said, lower tier people, a lot of their work is process based. So you put policies, you put procedures, they know the rules, they take a ticket, open a ticket, whatever they need to do, help the customer close the ticket. And it's very process oriented. But as people rise in the organization, it's much more who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like managers have to make gut-based decisions, or hopefully heart-based decisions. How do people transition into or away from that process-based job into more heart-based leadership?
That's a good question, and kind of the process of evolution as you explore your soul. And so those lower tier, it's work. It's kind of grunt work, or kind of the process, same mundane thing over and over again. And some people are kind of built for that and take joy in that. And I've like, sometimes I've been jealous of them. I wish it was just that simple and easy, but I love just constant expansion, and I'm always, looking for that new thing. To those people, that's awesome. But when you realize that there's more, that you have more capacity, that you can expand your technology, that you can upgrade yourself, then the limitations start coming off your mind, and you see the world through a whole different lens. So it's not so much about, oh, I want my next promotion. It's what's going on in here. Who are you? What are you seeking? What's your purpose? What's your passion? What really drives you and fuels every action that you take? And when you know that, it builds up such a, like I said, getting into physics, it builds up such a voltage within you, and that voltage powers you to take those steps. And so some people are living kind of very low voltage, and they're just doing the minimum to get by, just getting their paycheck. But once you get inspired with a phenomenal idea, once you get inspired by a passion, a purpose, something that will help your family or help change the world, that creates this internal pressure within you. And that internal pressure needs to equilibrate. So it needs to express outwardly. And so it's going to find a way to express outwardly. And that's when people start seeking, oh, I want a promotion. I need higher authority. I need more opportunities. And they start seeking. So it's an outcrop, or a natural process of that evolving your soul, and learning who you are and what really makes you tick.
Yeah, for sure. That purpose, that drive, a lot of people feel it, and then they try to express it, or they start running into like blocks of maybe limited thinking or fears, or something stops them and it might come out sideways, or it just doesn't come out right. How does somebody work through that kind of situation?
So this is very personal and specific, but it's also very kind of general concept. So I look at everything through circuitry. We can look at our relationships, our communication. So basic circuitry, you have a power source, you have a
Hmm.
conduit to transfer that energy, and then you have the load, like a light bulb, right? So anytime you're trying to accomplish a task, you are the power source, you have a goal, which is the light bulb, and you need to find that pathway to transfer your power to accomplish that goal. That's the circuitry we need to build. That's what all business is you're developing pathways and circuits to get from point A to your goal, right? And so we look at it through voltage. Um, this is a pattern of a sine wave, right? A general sine wave, which is alternating current. And I'll explain this so this will make more sense. This is direct current. Now let me ask you, Kathy, what is the quickest distance between 2 points?
A straight line.
A straight line, exactly. So if you wanted to get to some place, would you want to use this path or would you want to use this path?
That blue line looks great.
The direct current, right?
Yes.
So what you asked is there's issues that come aboard where it doesn't come out the right way. They take missteps or they're self-sabotage or this or that. That is the resistance R. So V equals IR. Voltage equals current times resistance. The current is that flow of energy. The resistance is anything blocking that flow. And when you multiply those together, you get the voltage, which is that pressure, that internal pressure that is just driving you to do something, that is just inspiring you to build your business or sell a product or teach the world something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When you have that resistance, which can be so many things, that can be limiting beliefs, that can be trauma, that can be past failures, all of that either deviates the path that the energy is supposed to take, so it doesn't get to its load, it doesn't get to accomplish the goal, or what can happen is that resistance will heat up the circuit. So if you're trying to push a lot of energy through a wire, but that wire can't facilitate that current, it gets really hot. So that can lead to temper issues, that can lead to burnout, that can lead to fighting. There's all sorts of manifestations in the negative sense that resistance can cause, and self-sabotage and all of that. So what I help people, what my clients do, is recognize and eliminate that resistance.
Okay.
Minimize, but ideally remove it all. Because when you remove it all, and I mean that's a big undertaking to do, to really remove all resistance. But the more resistance you remove, the more magical life becomes, because your thoughts literally are things and they send out an electrical frequency.
Yes.
So if you have a resonant, coherent thought that is a pure signal to the world, things happen and unfold just absolutely magically. I have one fun, I have a lot of stories, but one I like to share is my wife and I were driving and we wanted to go on a road trip, right? We wanted to go like on a long road trip with an RV. We didn't have the RV. We didn't have the money for the RV at the time, but we had been developing our faith and learning this for years. And we just agreed on that. We just kind of put that out there. A couple of weeks later, my wife gets a call from our sister-in-law and said, "Hey, we want to go on a road trip. We're buying an RV and we want to take you on a 30-day road trip with us." They went out and bought an over $100,000 RV, took us on the road trip for 30 days and paid our way the entire way. So what happens is when you have such a clear signal right here, that signal goes out to the universe and people pick up on that signal. You don't even have to pick up your hands or do any work. People pick up on that and things happen and stuff unfolds. So there's a whole like continuum of where you are on the spectrum of how like miraculous these manifestations can unfold. But the more you lower that resistance, the further down that continuum you get, and you see more and more just amazing synchronicities and miracles unfold in your life.
Yeah. So I've had a recent experience where something wasn't working and I just made the decision to stop doing something.
Mm.
And as soon as I made the decision, I didn't even have to communicate it to anyone. It just happened without me having to do a thing, but I made the decision and it was a very congruent,
Yes.
aligned with who I am kind of decision. But this was a decision that I've been vacillating on for months,
Mm.
something that I knew deep down I knew it was eventually going to work out a certain way, but it finally just got to the point where just like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And
Mhm.
it happened without me doing anything. And I
Right.
feel like that is exactly what you're talking about. You just explained what I just went through. Like a
Mm.
clear decision is that thought.
That's the blue line. So you were going back and forth for months, up and down, up
Yes.
and down, right? You're on this roller coaster, and sometimes it's good, and oh, here's all the negatives, and I think I'm good. This is going to work. No. And when you made that clear decision, you sent out a coherent signal, and you didn't have to do a thing. The
Didn't
world,
have to do a thing.
universe, God did it right for you. Because what happens is we are so connected electrically.
Yeah.
Everything is made of atoms, right? And atoms have electrons, and so we live in this sea of infinite electrical potential. And you have a biofield, an electromagnetic field. I have an electromagnetic field. Right now in this conversation, we're creating a field because we're connecting together that has never been created before in the history of mankind.
Right.
Isn't that amazing? Like you have a unique fingerprint. I have a unique fingerprint. We both have unique biofields. And just by us connecting like this, we're creating something that has never been done before.
Oh, the connection we started conversing in December, and
Mm.
then the first cleared spot was end of January when we're recording right now. But I needed to see that now. If you had explained it to me like before I had made this decision a little over a week ago, it wouldn't have had the same resonance with me. So it was almost like perfectly designed. It was like unconscious connection between the two of us of like the perfect timing to have this conversation. It was orchestrated beyond what I could have chosen in December, right?
It's beautiful. Yeah. And the cool thing is when you get connected with people who are in that resonance, like
Hmm.
I've spent years doing this type of work to really become clear on who I am and sending out the signals. When you get, and I can tell you're a very, grounded, resonant person as well. When you bring those types of people together, your clarity and your coherence increases tremendously. So just by being in proximity, being connected with people, clarity comes and things move a lot smoother and a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. And the decision that I made was to leave a situation where I wasn't finding that kind of coherence, and I wasn't I had to keep myself in a smaller box to make other people more comfortable, and so that I was just like, this isn't eventually I knew months ago like this isn't working for me, right? And yeah, so it's yeah, as soon as I made the decision, it's like so many different things, but this conversation is definitely one of them because you're just like, yeah, I could explain that right here. You found the blue line. Finally, the universe. God is like, oh my God, she finally made the decision. Thank God. We've been waiting. I just felt like it was very interesting. But yeah, um, yeah, so people who are having lots of anger, hostility, frustration, burnout, I can't do this anymore. This is too small of a box. Where they just find that lack of coherence. That's all the resistance.
Yes, that's all the resistance. And there's lots of reasons why that can be. They can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. They can be at the right place at the wrong time. They could be in the wrong place at the right time. There could be trauma. There could be, all sorts of issues, but the resistance comes internally. It's always internal, and then it'll
Yes.
express externally. So if you grew up and your parents told you you had to be a lawyer, your dad was a lawyer, your grandfather was a lawyer, you have to be a lawyer, and you get put into this box of lawyer, and it just sucks all the joy out of you. That's because there's something within you that is saying, hey, this is not really my path.
Mm-hmm.
And pathway, think of everything as electrical circuitry. You're in the wrong path, and your soul, your heart is just resisting that. And there's something
Okay.
that's fighting internally, and you're never going to have the true type of expression and joy and freedom that you could have when you find your lane, when you find your perfect passion and purpose. So part of it, a huge part of it, is finding, why are you here? What is your passion and purpose? That gets rid of so much resistance right there. And then you clean up incrementally as you go from that point.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, they focus on the resistant, like it's an away from type of experience of like all the things that are wrong and I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. And they never really find that clear path within themselves because they're so focused on the I don't want.
Mhm.
How does somebody start recognizing or start experience? They have to be able to experience that, I would imagine, to find what's going to light them up and what their purpose is.
Yeah, usually it's almost always, if not always, it's a calibration process of finding what I don't like you said. But once you, whatever you focus on is going to be magnified in your life.
Yeah.
So when you say I don't want this, you're actually focusing on not wanting that, and it's good to recognize that. That's the first step. But don't stay there. Then say I don't want this. Okay, let's shift a little bit. Don't do the mistake that I did. Is I don't want this, and then you run and pendulum swing all the way to the other
Mhm.
side. And then, I lived in like this for a long time to
Yeah.
find that perfect lane, that perfect balance.
That contrast is helpful. It's helpful to know, like you said, it's helpful to know what you don't want. Good. Let's put it
Absolutely.
over here. But really you have to find out where that current's coming from, right?
Yes, beautifully said. So life is a buffet table. Like you can do anything at any time. It's your choice. You have all these choices. A question I like to ask my clients is, if you won the lottery tomorrow, you won $200 million, you're set for life. You pay off all your debts, your family, buy houses, everything. Not a concern about money for the rest of your life. What would you do? What would you do?
What would I do? I actually I fantasize about that sometimes, and I find myself immediately going into, okay, mortgage is gone, move back to the mountains because I miss my mountains. And then I start helping people. I start imagining I want to do this for this person, and I never think about myself. And I'm just now noticing it's like, oh my gosh, I'm very other focused. Like I want to help all of the people in my life, and then I'm like, am I taking on their karma by like trying to focus on like fixing the things with them instead of like what do I really want? Honestly, I'll tell you, I would do more conversations like this. I would write more, I would communicate more, I would um use my knowledge and experience and security to help other people. So I'm really starting to hone in on, I do have a service and I do want to help other people, but it's just like an interesting, I don't know. Isn't it funny you asked that question? It's like something I've been thinking about.
That's good. That's beautiful. So you're already in your path. You're just you're calibrating, and you're fine tuning,
Yeah.
you're honing that, but you're in that path of doing what you love. Now, when you go into that fantasy of winning the lottery or whatever, your capacity is so high. Your cup is so full. You don't have needs. You don't have those concerns or worries. That's why you're able to think about everybody else. When you're
Mhm.
suffering yourself, then you're like, I got to put on my own oxygen mask before I go help others. But the
Mhm.
natural result of being fulfilled and overflowing is you want to share that love. You want to spread that joy. You want to go and help others. So that's a really powerful calibrating tool. Then I take it to the opposite extreme and say, okay, if you couldn't monetize anything, you just, money just stopped happening. You couldn't monetize what you do. What would you still do? What would you
Are all
still
my
do
bills
in
paid
life?
or am I homeless?
You're homeless.
I'm homeless. Oh my gosh.
What
I would
remains?
what remains is this what never goes away. See, like I had this experience when we lived in Mount Shasta, um, going for walks in my neighborhood. I realized that everything I loved about living there, especially when we first moved there and my neighbor's dog was coming for walks with me, and I realized that everything I loved about being there was nothing that I owned.
Mm,
And I could love and appreciate the mountain and the woods and the neighbor's dog and being able to just walk this beautiful place. And I was just like, so if I was completely and totally homeless, I would still immerse myself in every moment that I could. If I wasn't starving to death or if somebody wasn't attacking me on the streets, I would immerse myself in that beautiful awareness of the magic that is always around us.
mm, that's perfect. So take an amalgamation of those two extremes, find your balance, your beauty, and that's your path, that's your lane, that's your passion.
Okay. I love it. Oh my gosh. You just like, you made me, that's my perfect life right there.
Mhm, mhm. And now everything starts as a seed, right? So
Yes.
don't get frustrated that the perfect life isn't in its complete expression, but focus on that seed. Focus on the things that are expressing in that. You are having conversations. You know, you have access to the mountains. You could go take a vacation. You could go get an Airbnb or visit friends. So take the little steps to start increasing the voltage on that pathway and let that unfold naturally.
Yeah. Like the mustard seed. Yeah. Yeah, but the seed's in me, right?
The
And so
seed.
as I focus on the seed within me, my life will start to, it will just start to reflect that more and more back to me, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The seed is in you, and your thoughts and your heart flow are so powerful. And we could go into maybe have a second session for explaining the details, intricacies of this. But your heart and your thought seeds your subconscious as the seed. Okay. So you get a thought in your brain, and that sends it to your subconscious, and your body starts processing that thought and creates this electrical field around you. So
Mhm.
when you take that thought, that seed, that perfect life, that vision, that fantasy of your perfect reality, and you meditate on that, you think on that, you chew on that, you fantasize and immerse yourself, embody that reality, that starts unfolding. Your
Mm.
brain starts making a plan. It starts planning, okay, how can I bring this to fruition? Now you can take the inspired actions, which is what a lot of people talk about, and that's effective and that's powerful to take those actions. What I like to do is take it into the more miraculous realm where I stay with that thought longer. And instead of taking the inspired action, I kind of call it playing chicken with the universe. I hold on to that vision. I hold on to that voltage and that frequency, and it comes closer and closer and closer to me. So think of, here's your goal, here's where you are. You're imagining, you're dreaming, you're hoping, you're planning, and then you get an inspiration, right? You can take that inspiration, you can take that inspired action there, or you can hold on to it and wait, and it'll take you further down the line. And this will come closer and closer and closer to you. If you trust the process and if you can
Yes.
maintain that just joy and relaxation. If you're getting stressed about it, then don't don't play around with that. Take that inspired action and move along. But it's a game that you calibrate and understand your soul, as to where you are on this line. And the more you can hold that with that joy, the more you can maintain here, the
Yeah.
faster and more magical it unfolds.
I'm a little speechless because I love it so much and it just resonates as truth. Um, yeah, I feel like this is a coaching session for me. So I love it. I want to ask you, I want to ask you about, well, this is it. I like, oh, make sure I ask Philip about this. Engineering miracles through true wealth. But I feel like you just explained it, but is there more to it?
There's a lot more to it. From the heart flow the issues of life, right? So another
Yeah.
Bible verse I love is that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. Your external prosperity is directly correlated to what's going on within.
Yeah.
So if you have, triggers and traumas of a past relationship that hasn't been dealt with, that's still circuitry that's playing in your heart. And that's going to show up in your life with a coworker, with a spouse, with your child, and it usually shows up in such inopportune times, because it's when you got a lot of electricity running through your system. You're either excited, you're nervous, you're angry, there's something spiking your energy, and then it triggers that issue, and then it just manifests, it plays out in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so true wealth is about dealing with our soul, dealing with our struggles, our issues, our unforgiveness, our wounds, our pains, laying them down. And for me, I'm Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and he has taken all that sin. And so he's the ultimate catalyst. A catalyst lowers the activation energy that's required for a reaction to occur. Yeah. So to catalyze your results is you want to lower or minimize or eliminate all of that resistance, which then allows for all you have left is good. So there's nothing opposing that good, and all you're left with is that beautiful life. And it's obviously a process. This doesn't happen overnight, but you grow more and more and more in it, to where good things, literally, as the Bible says, just chase you down. The blessing of the Lord chases you down. It makes you rich and adds no sorrow with it. Or his goodness and mercy follow you all the days of your life. It follows you. You don't have to go and chase it. Things just unfold and come right to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it can happen in an instant. I've seen it and felt it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but also I think it's important to have patience for timing, like this conversation. I'm a little blown away at the perfectness of the timing of it, for me as the host, but also as the coaching recipient, because it's just perfect, and not questioning God's timing, not questioning the path and the purpose that we might not consciously understand fully. So there I think needs to be some patience to it, as well. But yeah, really, really
Can I speak
good.
to that?
Please. Yes.
All right.
Well, that's why I'm pontificating, so that you can share.
Yes. So God is outside time. Would you agree?
Yes.
And God is love.
Yes.
So love is patient, and love is outside time. So people use this whole divine timing, God's timing, as kind of an explanation or justification why things aren't happening. And it's true, but it's more about the calibration and the alignment. So the reason it takes patience is because you're on this path. You're still calibrating. You're still aligning.
Gotcha.
You're not holding that perfect frequency yet. And so what God needs to do, what you need to do, is renew your mind, is to come into alignment with that thing. So that patience, that process, it's not about time so much as it is about you doing whatever you need to do, or allowing God to do whatever he needs to do to bring you into that perfect alignment. Because once it's aligned, it happens immediately.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not about waiting. Patience is important, but patience is not, it takes time to develop patience, but patience, once you have patience is like an ingredient in a recipe. You don't need the time once you have the patience. The time, or the patience, is a frequency. It's an attribute. It's a characteristic. It's a fruit of the spirit. So once you have that ingredient, you have faith and you have patience, then the magic happens.
It's kind of a letting go.
Yes.
Okay. And the letting go shrink that curve. It can shrink that to the point it can flatten it.
So that letting go part is, how much do I need to do the work versus how much can I let go and let God do the work? Or
Yeah.
how much do I trust that I believe God created heaven and earth, and he created this universe, which is the system that he created, which abides by laws, right? There's universal laws that he created, and he moves in and throughout. And when we know how to operate within those laws and use those laws for us, then we're not living in a life of resistance. We're living in a life of that unforced rhythm of grace, and everything flows smoothly for us. So the letting go is casting that care and trusting that. What I tell people is, like, a lot of people will get their to-do list for the day, and all right, I got to do this and this and this and this and this. God, I give you this. You give him like one or two, or the hardest things or whatever. Why not give him everything and then allow him to delegate to you? Okay, this is what you do, because he can handle it a lot better than we can. And when you get into that space of just trusting that it's already a finished work, it's already done, you can rest in that. And when you rest, your nervous system relaxes, the energy flows better, the signal goes out, people and things pick up on that signal, and miracles unfold in your life.
Yeah. All right. I have a question that's completely unrelated, but it popped into my head. A friend of mine is dealing with debt. And I've always wondered what I feel like, I feel like you could speak to somebody. I don't know. It's just an intuitive nudge that I got to ask you that question. Well, a lot of people are dealing with it, inflation, people rely on their credit cards. And then, you see statistics that lots of people are dealing with a lot of debt right now. What is that? What does that mean to them? And then how can they use these principles to shift that?
That's a deep question. How much time do we have? So remember, we talked about true wealth, and everything flows from within. All right.
Yeah.
So debt starts internally. Debt starts with, I owe somebody, which is unforgiveness, which is, I did something wrong and I have to compensate for that. I have to balance the books, right? Again, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Jesus balanced the books.
Yes.
So he paid for all the debt. And when we can rest in that, then our soul is lifted. So money is an external expression of that internal debt. And there's a lot to this. This goes deep, but what is money really? Let me ask you, what is money?
It's energy. It's an energy of exchange.
Yes. It's currency, right?
Oh, there you go. We're back to electrical impulses.
Back to electric, boogie, woogie, woogie. It's all electric. And when you understand it that way, things start making a lot more sense. So currency is in the economy, is the lifeblood of the economy, right?
Yes.
We have voltage, we have currency running through our system. So when we live, we breathe, we use our energy, our time, and we exchange that for money, which is currency. So money is actually an expression of our life. It's an expression of ourselves. We trade our time, our effort, our intention, our values, our skills. We trade that for money. And that money is currency, and that money is an expression of who we are. So people who are in debt, they're in debt in here first.
Yes.
So deal with whatever issues you have. If you have resentment, if there's, a divorce in the life, if you have regret about something, all of that is heaviness that's weighing them down, that their soul is seeking to let go of. So people are trying to deal with all this debt externally, but that's it's getting it backwards. Once you deal
Yeah.
with it internally, it'll happen. And we got debt free without working a job. We paid off my wife's loans. We got a 529 plan for my children, miraculously. But I was in such deep communion with God and understanding this stuff, with releasing the debt, with dealing with true wealth internally, that
Yeah.
then it just started unfolding externally. And people all over the world have amazing debt freedom experiences and
Yeah.
miracles and testimonies because of this very type of thing.
Yeah.
And so deal with that. Ask God, seek what's going on. What is holding me back? What do I feel like I need to repay internally,
Yeah.
and process that, and that will lead you externally. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. And as you were talking about it, I just had this intuition because I was watching, like, the precious metal markets are like crazy right now, but they're also like silver and copper and I don't know, gold, but metal is a conduit of currency, of not
She's
just
got it.
money currency, it's also electrical currency too. And it's like historically precious metals have been money. And yeah, you
You
got it.
got it.
You got
Got
it. You got it.
They're
You got it.
superconductors. Yep.
Yes. 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 Oh, wow. That is just amazing. Anything that I haven't asked you about that I should have, that you wish that you could have talked about? Because I feel like I took you down all of the things interesting to me. But is there anything else that you think the audience should know?
This is what I love about these organic conversations. Like I could get into pitchy mode, which is not who I am, but it's so much more effective and fun to just connect
Yeah.
organically and deal with, because if I can speak to one issue in your life, then I'm putting out tremendous value, and I know that value is going to come back to me. And that's how the world works. And so, to answer your question, just ask. I got to this place of I've always loved wisdom, and the Bible says seek wisdom first. And I got to this place where it was a long journey, and it was not easy to get there, but once you get there, it's easy. It's fun on the other side. But it just came from asking. Just keep asking, keep seeking, keep knocking, keep looking for that answer, because the answer is there. And that's the thing. When we ask, you immediately receive the answer. Immediately. It's in the form of a frequency. The question is, are you able to interpret that answer? Are you able to sit with that answer and actually understand what that answer means? And based on your temple, your manifesting technology,
Hmm.
that will determine how clear that signal comes and is interpreted. And so seek true wealth, ask, what is true wealth for me? Get a relationship with God. That's number one,
Yes.
it's absolutely number one. Because if you don't have that, nothing else matters. You're never going to find true wealth without that.
Yeah.
But know that you have what it takes. You have that connection. You have the potential, which is an electricity term. The potential within you is phenomenal, and you can do anything. Nothing's impossible for you. So keep seeking and seek the right thing. Seek true wealth, and you'll find it.
I love it. There's nothing else to say. philiphunt.coach is your website. Anywhere else? Where are you most active on socials?
I don't like social media. I'm not on a whole lot. I have an Instagram, which is philip.catalyst, but I like to keep my life kind of balanced and quiet, and social media is a lot of noise. And so that interferes with the signals. So I like to keep that balanced.
Yeah, well, you're putting out a very good signal, and I know this is going to help a lot of people in my audience. So I can't thank you enough for joining me today and going on this journey with me, because it was magical for me. So thank you. I know it'll be magical for my people too.
Good. It's my pleasure, and bless you all. Thank you. Thank you for this time. It was an honor.